Listen!
But what we really want to talk about is this little game called Super Mario Odyssey. You reviewed this.
Yes.
This episode will be posted after the embargo going
Yes.
up. How are you feeling about this game so far?
I mean, the 10 speaks for itself.
Is that what you decided on? So this is
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah, this is being recorded before we've seen your review and final
that's
score.
a surprise.
So
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So here's what I want to say about this game to the NVC crowd. So this is only the second 10 I've ever given in 5+ years at IGN. The only other one I gave was for Inside last year, which sadly never came to Nintendo platforms
Yet.
But
We'll get it.
I hope it does eventually. It'd be a phenomenal
perfect
game
on Switch, yeah.
So good. And with Inside, I literally was going around to just everybody in the office, just you have to play this game because of the things it does and the places it goes and the things it wants to say. You have to play it. That is how I feel about Super Mario Odyssey. It is so full of joy. It left me I was smiling the whole time. I will say I'm not going to spoil anything, but the end of the story, there's so much more to do after you finish the story mode, the campaign. There's a million moons to collect. It's and they unlock all kinds of new stuff that you're going to want to go get. But the sort of end sequence, the climax of the campaign and the ending, I actually sat when the credits rolled after that ending. I literally sat on my couch. You could ask my wife. I was clapping at the screen. It was so good. It made me so happy.
I'm getting all these calls from people.
But it is a love letter to the entire franchise, to everyone who grew up with Mario, but it's still doing new things. There's so much variety to it. There's the whole Cappy possession mechanic. There's a lot of surprise and delight associated with the capture mechanic, and that's all I want to say. I'll leave it at that. But there's the blending of. I mean, you've probably seen if you've watched any of the coverage from E3 or anything on IGN. The 2D sections are so perfect. They're not pandering, but because they actually, it's classic 2D 8-bit stuff, which you're seeing here, but it also mixes in new elements. I mean, here we're just seeing it, run around a column, a 3D column space, but it'll like bend completely around 90-degree corners on cubes. It'll go these times where the gravity, like you jump and then the gravity at the top switches, so you're in 8-bit upside down and you're having to flip the controls.
Which is incredible just from the basis of, we've been playing 2D Mario games since the first 2D Mario game, which was the first Mario game.
30 years.
And seeing something like this impresses the hell out of me now, as it would have then. But also that's a very iterative side of the franchise where there was a while where we got new Super Mario games and they got to the point where they almost felt a little repetitive. We got Mario Maker, which tried a whole bunch of new ideas to the point where I thought you got every idea out of that. That's it. And then I see stuff in this game where I'm like, you did it again. Like Nintendo did it again with just even that side of it.
Yeah.
Not even touching on the 3D stuff. Now you're a big fan of Mario 64, right? Because
well,
I think you and I have talked
just
about that.
the series.
Yeah. But specifically Galaxy is like one of your favorite
Galaxy,
games of all
I
time.
think, is the single. I think Galaxy is the #1 best game of last generation.
Right.
That is my humble opinion. Even there are a million costumes and that you can mix and match as well in Odyssey. You've seen a lot of them in the promotional, the trailers and the coverage. But what I love is when you go into the pixelated pipe and go into a 2D section, it translates the costume into the 8-bit, and it's just so great.
Now,
so great.
I wanted to ask you a little bit about the flow of the gameplay. Like, a lot of people were a little bummed out that there wasn't a dedicated hub world a la Sunshine and Mario 64. Even Galaxy, to an extent, had that large Mario head-shaped planet ship that you flew back and forth on. This one doesn't really work like that, right? You have more sort of giant core levels that you jump into. You collect moons. You mentioned there's literally hundreds in this game.
Many hundreds.
Amazing, because Mario 64 had, 120, 150 in the DS version stars. So there's a lot to do here. But is that something that, obviously you gave it a 10, it didn't bother you, but does that affect the sort of way things flow, the way levels unlock?
I don't think so, and largely because you can, if you kind of are wandering a world and you're knee deep in it and you got some moons, and you're like, okay, all right, I'm done with this. I want to move on. You just pull up your mini map by pressing minus, and you can warp right to the Odyssey, and then hop right back on your ship and go wherever you want to go. It's really no problem.
And they're like, unlike in Mario 64 where
there was a moon right over there. Oh, you missed it. You didn't get it.
But unlike in Mario 64 where, like the kind of, you have these named missions and it's always like, you always start in the same spot and it's like this quest to get to the star. In this game, you kind of discover the moons as you go, right?
Yes.
Like there's some that aren't even that well hidden, right? Like
there are plenty that are obvious. Yeah, it's the thing about it is, to me, I've found the last, at least the last few mainline Marios, 3D Marios, to not really be that difficult per se.
Right.
They're not necessarily difficult games, but the challenge in Odyssey comes from the exploration. It's like you pull up your map, or you can see, on your map, it's like, oh, there are 75 moons on this in this kingdom. Oh my God, where the heck are they?
Yeah.
And then you have to go, and it's just the challenge is finding them. Some of them are tucked away out of the way. Some of them might be behind a classic, like a walk-through wall kind of thing. They're hidden all over the place. There are little sort of mini dungeons, for lack of a better word, where you go through a door or down a pipe, and it's just like a one fairly linear section, and you think, okay, well, I'm going to get to the end of this, and I'm going to get my moon. Oh, but then there's another moon like hidden somewhere. So it's like they kind of messy with you that way a little
you
bit.
spot a moon, like
Yes.
I think we saw this in even the Nintendo E3 Direct, right? In the city level, like you get a moon and you spot another one out there, and like, where the heck is that?
Yeah.
Like, how do you even get
Yeah.
this? It's very clever.
It sounds
how
like it
leads
works
you.
in the same way Nintendo's best games do, right? Where you can be 8 years old and you can collect just the bare minimum, get through the level, or you can be dedicated and collect every single thing. It scales to sort of, and like 3D World did a good job of that. I think Sunshine, especially, like some of the end game stuff got very difficult in that game. But same with Mario 64, like you can get the bare minimum, open up the doors, go beat up Bowser, throw him away, and then beat the game. But if you went back for everything, that's really when the challenge started to pick up.
Thank you for listening to us talk about Mario. There's plenty more of this discussion, more than 30 minutes actually of spoiler-free Mario Odyssey talk. So head on over to youtube.com/Nintendo Voice Chat and check it out there.